Hello. I remember my very first speech that I gave at Toastmasters. This was back in, gosh, it was either in 96 or 98. I think it was 98. Yeah, that's when I joined Toastmasters. Anyway, the very first speech that we give when we join a Toastmasters club is what's called our icebreaker, where we talk a little bit about our lives and just kind of let the club get to know us. So I entitled my first speech, Get Up and Go On. And what I did is I talked about 3 major incidents in my life that kind of knocked me down, at least at that point. And I chose to get up and go on. Then later in 2002, when I moved from Bozeman, Montana, which is where I was living at the time, and then moved to Boise, I joined another Toastmasters club, and I thought, I'm going to do the same titled speech. It was a little bit different. It had different events in it, and it had different situations. Some of them were the same, some of them weren't, but I still used that same title, Get Up and Go On. I don't know when I embraced that philosophy. Actually, I think I do. I was very young. And I think it just kind of is in my family. I think I was born with it. Certainly that was in my parents' attitude. Life is going to knock us down. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. Life is going to life us all the time. Or maybe not all the time, but I mean, life happens whether we like it or not, whether we plan it or not, and whether we're happy with what's going on. So I remember, though, something that I learned very young. I was probably about 7 or 8, and I tried for several summers in a row to try to get up and go on with water skiing. Now, my parents, everybody in the family water skied except for me, and they tried to get me up on skis when I was about 8 or 9. The problem was I couldn't get up. Now, in looking back, they didn't realize that at the time they gave me adult skis, and I was trying to control these adult skis with my 8 or 9-year-old feet, and it didn't work. So we tried for a couple of summers to get me up, and I was kind of discouraged. I thought, I'm never going to be able to water ski. And then Dad one day came home and he said, look what I have for you, Diana. They were children's skis. The boot fit my feet beautifully, and within 1 or 2 attempts, I was up and skiing. I was 10 years old at the time. I was up and skiing when I was 10, and by the time I was 12, I was skiing on an adult-size slalom ski with about a 6-inch fin. That was a cool ski. Anyway, and water skiing became a major part of my life as I was growing up. But whenever we fell, we just got up and went on. When we were on our bikes, we got up and we just, you get up and go on, Diana. That's what you got to do. So no matter what happens, whether it's physical or psychological, you just get up and go on. Well, that's kind of been my philosophy in life. Now, I'm hesitating in this. I don't know if you notice this or not, but I'm really hesitating with this particular post because I want to choose my words carefully and convey my meaning accurately. I have a personality, for those of you who may not know me well. I think I'm very sensitive, probably sometimes overly sensitive. My feelings can get hurt easily, but I've learned not to take things personally. I also have a direct, no-nonsense approach. And again, this probably comes from my upbringing, but I also think it comes from my own makeup. I've had my astrology chart done numerous times and interpreted, and that shows up in my astrology chart. So I think it's part of my makeup as well as part of my family, where we may have things cause us grief or cause us pain, and we may have to stop, and we may have to cry, or we may have to grieve over it. But we don't cry in our beer over it for very long. We have to get up and go on. So that's my attitude. I recently had somebody confide in me over something that was very difficult for them. And this is something that they had confided in me several times. And I finally, the last time, I tried to be kind, but I also said, we have no control over what other people do. And so what? Whatever they do, so what? There's not anything we can do about it. But what we need to do is not lay down and die over it, as hard as it is. I mean, I've had to face some difficult things. Some of the big ones you know about. My husband passed away. I've been divorced. My brother was murdered. My parents were divorced. There are things we all have. But why my story's not unique. Everybody has big things. That you live long enough, you're going to have big things that have hurt you. So after a while, I take a tough love approach with myself. It's like, yeah, life is going to knock us down. When we're on the road of life, we're going to get knocked down. It's guaranteed. We have two choices. We can either stay down or we can get back up and go on. Now, sometimes staying down feels really good. And I've been known to stay down, not for terribly long, but I've been known to stay down there. But you know what? The problem with staying down on the road of life is something else is going to come and run you over and crush you out. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to meet the end of my life. And when I take a look at that reel of my life, that movie reel or whatever it is of my life, and say, man, I sure wished I hadn't stopped living. I know when I walked out of that courthouse of the second murder trial, the man who murdered my brother faced two trials. He was convicted on the first one and he was let go on the second, because smart people know how to manipulate the system. And I knew when I was walking out of there, I thought, Diana, this can take you down. You don't want to die 20 years from now from some illness. I knew that if I buried this anger and this grief and this sense of injustice that I had about the man who put 9 bullets in my brother and didn't regret it and said so, I knew that if I let that take me down forever, it would. And I knew that if I buried that, or as I've said in the past, planted it, I knew that bad stuff would grow. And I didn't want to get some serious illness or some kind of cancer, because that emotion is growing inside of me. So I did whatever it took for me to get through that. And yes, I had to do some counseling. Yes, I've been to counseling. I've been to therapy. Yeah. I've done all kinds of things to help myself pull myself up, to get up and get down. And sometimes I have to reach my hand out and have others pull me up. And other times I've had to reach my hand up to my higher power and have my higher pull me up, because nothing or nobody else could. But the truth is, I am not going to sit here and cry in my beer. I don't even like beer. I don't drink beer. It's disgusting. I don't see how people can drink that stuff. And if you drink it, I'm cool with that. I just don't like it. So I took a little bit of a tough love approach with my friend, and that hurt her more than it helped her. And I did not mean to hurt her. But at some point, I didn't know what else to say to her. It's like, okay, I get that this hurts. Now pick yourself up and don't wallow in it. Yes, you can grieve. Allow yourself to grieve. But I couldn't cry in my beer. I couldn't cry in my beer with her, because I knew not only would it not help her up, but it would take me down. And I don't want to be taken down by somebody else's problems. I'm dealing with my own. We all deal with our own. So that the suggestion was made to me that maybe that wasn't the best approach to take. And you know what? Maybe it wasn't. And I did apologize to this person, because I'm genuinely sorry. I did not mean to cause more pain. But whenever I face something that I feel like maybe I did something wrong, I always try to take a look at that squarely. And I think, okay, am I being harsh? Am I being unkind? Am I being cruel? And I looked at that clearly. And you know what? I just put it out there on the universe. I gave it to my higher power, and I trusted that I would get the answer. Now, while I don't know if I dealt with that person properly, and I have apologized, and yes, I will be a little bit more considerate, or maybe not so direct next time in dealing with this person, or maybe even others, I also realized there's nothing wrong with my philosophy. So yesterday I kind of just put it kind of, no, I like to say I put it on the altar, but I don't have an altar, but I put it figuratively. I just gave it to my higher power, and I got the answer. I got the answer over and over again, after, not long after I asked the question. I got it at my part-time job last night. When we got home, both Tom and I, because he works there. I took the job because he worked there, and it's kind of fun to work together, especially on a Saturday night. And so we sat and watched a movie that kind of reinforced my philosophy. And then today I saw something on Facebook where it's a video. The video is, and I posted it on my Facebook, but if you're not my Facebook friend, then I'm sure you can find this on YouTube or somewhere out there on the universe, somewhere out there on the internet. And the title of this video is "The Universe Might Be Rigged in Your Favor." And it's about a 3.5, 4-minute video on how the bad things that happen to us don't happen to us. This is my rewording this. They happen for us. And the bad things that we think are bad, which may be bad and painful, are really good. It's like no matter what happens to us, it's for us, and no matter what happens, things just might actually be rigged in our favor to either help us change direction, or help us grow, or help us learn, or whatever it might be. And so to me, that's the same as get up and go on. I'm sorry this has happened. I'm sorry that I or you or somebody is feeling this pain. I'm so very sorry. But go with it, use it, learn from it, give it to your higher power, and ask where you need to grow and learn. And so, my friends, I'm going to continue to get up and go on until I can't get up and go on anymore. And don't think I don't feel the pain, because I do. Have a great rest of your day. Do you realize this is day 80 of 100? Wow. Thanks for walking this journey with me, those of you who have walked it. And those of you who haven't walked it or have only seen 1 or 2 videos, I hope that you saw something that helped you and that you needed to see. Take care. Bye-bye.